so you said like, they need racism. Yeah. And I know for me, so just, a little bit about me too, like when in 2020, when I started to really look at things differently, and then I started to like read things that Thomas Sowell was. I never heard the name Thomas Sowell until 20. Like that's crazy, right? Like I never heard the name Thomas Sowell, and Thomas Sowell is so straightforward. I'm like, how did I never hear this name? It's like, yeah, they had to hide him because they can't debate him, so they have to hide him. So anyway, but when he was saying stuff like, racism, while it's still, like there is racism, but we're keeping it on life support, and just the way he talked about stats and numbers. And I know for me, I had almost like a cognitive dissonance. Like I got almost dizzy, like, because you inadvertently take in all these struggles and all these just angry feelings, and they become a part of your identity. So when you're looking at things in reality, you're like, it almost, and it's an honest feeling. It almost makes you feel like, well, who am I? Like, it's a question. So did you feel like that? Like, did you ever go through anything like that? Or when you started like, looking at things differently,
Yeah, I mean, I think the kind of like, what people could call like their red pill moment was really like, COVID was part of it, but even before that, see, like how you just said something interesting right there. You said like Thomas Sowell, right? So you said like you never heard of that, right? But you heard about, all these other people, what's his name, Ibram Kendi, and all these, Mark Lamont Hill, like you hear. But I mean, you heard like these are the people that are on your timeline, right? These are the people that you're fed. So my thing was like, if you're telling me that there's a conspiracy, right, to keep certain people out of the loop and out of the system, and because the system doesn't work for them, then how come I can not, why is it that I hear certain people, but those are the people that are resisting the system, yet I can easily access them. But
right.
Let somebody like Thomas Sowell, I never hear about that person. Like you hide them. So I'm thinking to myself, if you're hiding him, then that must be the person that I need to be listening to. You know what I'm saying? Like I said before, I think when you and I was talking before, I was telling you, like, I used to be looking like Angela Davis. Oh, she was like a radical, like she's against the system and she's doing all this against the system. And then I would always in the back of my mind, I'd be like, but how are you a teacher at UC Santa Cruz? Like you're a professor. Like, so the system is paying you to dismantle it? Like that didn't make no sense to me.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like it just didn't make sense that you would sit here and these people are getting paid six figures by the system to tell us that the system needs to be dismantled. Didn't make sense.
Right.
So like the people that are being hidden, I want to talk to them too. And once I started like going down and listening to certain people, I'm like, wait a minute here. That's more in line with how I view myself, because I was already personally had the point of view, like, I need to take personal responsibility, never blame nobody else. Like always look for where I could have done better, because that's the only thing that you can control. And then politically, I was realizing that didn't add up. Yep. You know what I mean? Like they were telling me two different things, and so I always use like the example like of hip hop. Like we love hip hop, but yet hip rappers nowadays are playing the oppressed card. But if you listen to them, like you listen to Jay-Z is like now an activist, right? Yeah. But yet if you listen to him from Reasonable Doubt and all his old stuff, he talked about like being financially free, being independent, not needing a handout, getting it out the mud, like they say, and all these different things. So I would be like, but you're telling me this, and yet you didn't come up that way. You came up the way that I personally see myself. So why does your politics not line up with that? Right.
And for me, sometimes I feel like these people are paid like corporate shills to keep us, tethered to the narrative. Like in Angela Davis, and no disrespect, I'm sure she's done a lot, but you do work for a university that's paying you to tell kids that the system doesn't work. So then the next part is, the system doesn't work, so we either got to protest the system to make it work and give us stuff, or beg the system for stuff. Like, it doesn't add, like you said, it doesn't add up. Like, these people are like saying they're fighting for rights and or whatever, and it's like, but you're still begging the government to validate you. You know, and I'm using government as the system because, you know, it's government systems, right? So
Yeah.
So, you know, and I'm seeing this now, and every generation has a new person. And not to go too much off topic, but it still is on topic, because I was going to ask you, like, you know, what do you think society is doing wrong? And I'm seeing this where every generation has a race wrangler, because that's what I call it now, on Twitter, because like Twitter's not a real world, but it is kind of, because the thought process starts there and then it bleeds out into the real world. That's what I believe. So they have, you know, Tariq Nasheed just constantly has his followers, you know, talking about asking the government for stuff, and there's just no focus in some sort of movement of, you know, the white supremacy and all that. So it's a shame, because like I said, every generation finds a new way to race wrangle, but which brings into society, like, and it's a broad question. What do you feel like society is doing wrong? I mean, we could be here for hours, but you know, what are like some key things that society could do better to rehab people or make more accountable people who want to be more ambitious, or, you know?
So I think the number one thing is society doesn't tell you that you can overcome your problems. That's I mean, that's basically what it comes, like, you can't overcome, like, we get this understanding, like, if you're sad, you're depressed, there's a prescription drug for you, go talk to a psychologist, make Pfizer more money, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is so it's like, well, now I have a name for it, I'm depressed. Instead of saying, well, you don't have to stay that way. Like, I wake up every morning and I choose to look at the world in a certain way. I choose to be optimistic. I choose to be positive. I choose to have a certain outlook on things. That's I make that decision. There's nobody else putting that on me. There's no government telling me what to do and how to think. I make those decisions. I choose I choose to see every situation. Like, I look at my life, I say, well, I lost 15 years. I can look at that and be like, oh man, I lost my whole 20s. I wasn't able to do this. I wasn't able to do that. No, I don't look at it like that. I don't, even to this day, I'm 39 years old. I don't look at it. I say, man, I had an opportunity most people don't have. I was able to get away. I get to know myself and understand where I came from and how I got to a certain point, and then to undo those things. Most people don't have that luxury. I didn't have phones. I didn't have social media. I never had a MySpace page. I never had none of that stuff, and to me, I feel like that was a blessing, and I choose to look at it that way. There's other people who are in the same situation I've been in, and they have a completely different outlook. They're mad, they're bitter, they're upset. They're saying, oh man, look what I lost all this time. I'm never going to have this. I'm never going to have that. My life is beautiful. I say that all the time. Like, and I never forget where I came from. I do that. I do that daily. I rode jet skis for the first time in my life this summer, right? And as I'm on the jet skis, I'm remembering the fact that I was in a cell. And I always do that stuff just to remember, like, there are people still in there. You can still be there. Enjoy it. Don't take none of this for granted. That's something I choose to do. Nobody makes me do that. So the first thing we need to do is understand that you can overcome your problems. You know, I had a friend. He was a friend. I'll say he was a friend. He was a young dude, and I was locked up with him, and he was just like kind of a follower type of guy. He wasn't even from California. He was from Michigan, and he had came out here and he had caught a case. He did like 6 or 7 years, and then he joined a gang while he was here, and he was already like 20 something years old. And I'm like, so I used to, and then he thought he was really smart, and I used to always talk to him, and I'd always be like looking at him like, bro, why? Like, you're just fake. Like, everything you do is fake. But he was like really good at basketball. And we used to play basketball together. And so when he got out, he had reached out to me like on Facebook or something. And so we were talking, and he was telling me like about, I'm trying to get things together. But I'm looking at his like rants on Facebook every day. He was kind of different moods. I'm logging off. I'm not talking to nobody. And I used to like kind of reach out to him and be like, well, you good? And then he was just kind of like, telling me about how he just couldn't get things together. One day I look up on Facebook and I seen that he had committed suicide, right? And I'm thinking to myself, what makes a person do that? And I remember some of the conversations we had. He would be so frustrated because he kept repeating the same mistakes over and over. And so what I say that is when we talk about mental health, think about what that does to your mental health. Think about like the fact that you could sit here and say, if I told you, if you came to me and said, Che, I keep making the same mistake over and over. And instead of telling you, you don't have to keep doing that. You can overcome that. You don't have to be stuck being sad. You don't have to be depressed. You can choose to do something better. This is on you. And yet you continuously kept making the same mistake. That's going to do something to you. That's going to drive your mental health to a point of feeling less than, feeling inferior, feeling like you're not good enough. And that's where I see like this mental health crisis is people not learning how to overcome your problems. If you can't overcome your problems, then it starts to drive you into this depression. It starts to get you into this state of mind that you're inferior. And then what does that do? That creates a dependent person. Now here comes somebody, what you call them, the Wranglers. They come around and they say, and they say, hey, look, the answer to all your problems is if we change these people, donate to my cause, buy my book, listen to, this is what you need. You need me. I'm the answer. All you need to do is submit to me and we'll go and fight for you. We'll protest for you. We'll do all these things for you. This is a grift. It's an industry. This is what they do. And they need people that are just codependent type of people. So if we don't learn to overcome our problems, that we don't have, like, I don't have to stay mad. I choose to be mad if I want to. I can choose to make me upset. You know what I'm saying? Nobody has that power over me.
Right.